What's going on, everyone? So, Giannis' time with the Milwaukee Bucks appears to be coming to an end. They are supposed to talk about the future, but I don't see a path where Milwaukee's able to turn this around. They have no draft picks, so they can't even bottom out, which is the worst part, right? Because even if they wanted to trade Giannis, they can't even bottom out and just tank for the bottom and get great picks for the next 3 years, right? So they still need a package and trade, or they need foundation pieces that make sense, right? So I wouldn't be shocked if this turns into like a 3-team deal or like a multi-team deal where they're kind of getting pieces from other guys. Maybe other teams are getting veteran guys, right? Like I could see a path and a version like that because again, Milwaukee, like whatever return you get, it has to be something that makes sense for the foundation for now and the future, right? You need something that where you can get 2 or 3, 4 young guys and then more so than draft picks, right? But with that kind of limits the amount of teams in which can trade for Giannis because most teams can't give you 3 or 4 young guys and still be good enough, right? Some teams can't give you an insane package and still be competitive enough, right? Like it's just that very limits the pool. But one of the teams that can is the Houston Rockets, right? Houston makes a ton of sense for Giannis because literally they could trade like half their roster and they'd still have half their roster, right? Like you could do something like Şengün, like Smith, do like Cam Whitmore, whatever salary filler, and then picks, right? Give 5 first. So now they have a young core and foundation. You could even give them Jalen Green if they want. Like here's Jalen Green, right? So now they have like Green, Şengün, Smith, Jabari Smith, and like 5 first. Maybe get like a Cam Whitmore because he's a guy, or you get Reed, right? Like you got options. Point is, like Houston could trade 4 or 5 guys in a trade to give Milwaukee a nice foundation. Take Giannis and still have their entire core, right? Still have their entire roster. Still have like Fred VanVleet. You're just essentially replacing Şengün with Giannis. Right? Like, essentially what that would boil down to. Right? And you'd probably be better. You'd probably be good. Obviously, Houston would love to keep Şengün, but you're not keeping Şengün in a Giannis trade. So, to me, it's something like that. Right? Like, I would probably try to keep Jabari Smith just because he's a guy that plays so well off ball, can shoot the ball, but you also got him in Thompson. So, you're probably looking at, like, Giannis, Thompson, say Eason, Fred VanVleet, and then whoever's left they can slot it and play the 2, depending on who ends up getting traded. I think you're fine. Like I think you're good. Right? Giannis is a guy that can come help and do all the things that you need to do, be your scoring option, go get you 50. You're still going to be one of the best defensive teams. You'd still have Dillon Brooks, right? There you go. Dillon Brooks can slot and play the 2. Right? So you can go Fred VanVleet, Dillon Brooks, Eason, Amin, and Giannis. Boom. There you go. Now you're probably one of the best teams in basketball. Right? So I think Houston is a team that makes a ton of sense. They're a team that's in the market and would love to trade Giannis. I think they're also one of the few teams that would be willing to give up on one of their main guys. I mean, there was talks about them trading Şengün this offseason before he got the extension. And everyone was like, why? Like, why would you do that? Right? Like, why would you look to trade him? Like, he's your best player. Right? Like Jalen Green, there was talks about trading him, which that made a little more sense, right? Because he's very inconsistent. Like there's times where Jalen Green like looks like a star, and you're like, dude, this guy might be one of the best 2 guards in the league in a few years. And then you watch like games, and you're like, wow, like so this guy is basically a role player. Like this guy's your 6th man off the bench, right? Like it's really odd with him, right? So him being available, I thought made sense, but willing to trade or trying to trade and explore Şengün trades, that was just really odd to me because it's just like he'd be the star foundation piece for like every team in the league if they were in a rebuild situation, right? So, and then also you look at the other side of that, like Milwaukee again, it has to be a trade, it has to be a deal where you're not more like you are getting the foundation pieces that you would get in a draft. You have no future. You've already mortgaged your future. So you're not in this position or have the luxury to go like, oh, well, we'll just tank for the bottoms. Just give us as many draft picks and as young players to get. Like, you need like actual building blocks. And Houston is one of the teams that have the building blocks while also putting you in a position to like, get draft picks and do everything else and still be competitive, right? You might be able to be a play-in team still, right? You might be able to still, fight and do all that, right? You're not going to be able to trade Dame, right? So, Bobby Portis, Gary Trent, Port Jr., like those guys are probably gone, right? Like, maybe you convince them to stay because they're young and you're kind of like, hey, you guys be our guy. You guys would be our foundation, right? And just kind of be this young, fun, exciting team, right? Maybe you hope Cam Whitmore can turn into a star or something. I mean, he was projected to be a top 10 pick at one point. Maybe you get a Reed. He was the third pick, be a, legit, maybe he could be a Tyler Hero type guy, right? So now you got that. Like, Houston is the one team that has the building blocks and foundation you need that you can have 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are young enough and talented enough to be your foundation and building blocks. So that way, and potentially keep you afloat as a play-in team, right? So all your picks aren't like you're just giving all these team lottery picks, right? And you're hoping that one of these guys can become a star. Şengün continues to grow and develop and, becomes a top 3 to 5 center in the league at some point. And then, whatever, let's say you get Reed and he becomes something, or Cam Whitmore becomes, one of the better two-way guys in the league, right? Like, it's just, you're hoping that something breaks for you, that one of these, basically Houston ponies up whatever you need or whatever you want outside of like because they're not going to trade a Min Thompson. They've already made that clear. Outside of him, I think everyone else is available, right? So you basically, hey, whatever you want, here you go. And then whatever's left, if you're Houston, you're still good enough to win. And you'd have other assets and tradable pieces and whatnot to go if you need to go get a piece or two or whatever, right? You're in great shape. And then, if you're Milwaukee, you get the building blocks. You get a Şengün and a Reed and a Cam Whitmore and, whatever else, right? Maybe you can get a Jabari Smith and boom, there you go. Now you have 3, 4, 5 guys that are your building blocks, that are your foundation pieces. Like for Houston, like Cam Whitmore and Reed don't even see the basketball courts. You're not worried about that. Şengün would be your only loss, but you're turning Şengün into Giannis, right? Like, and you'd have Giannis for the next, 4 or 5 years, right? Again, how long is he able to stay at the top of his game before he starts to maybe see a bit of a decline? All questions, but let me know your thoughts and opinions either way down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.